So today I want to talk about a subject that a lot of people ask for. I mean, this is a very frequently discussed subject, and my channel, unlike most real estate channels, is in a unique position where I kind of identify the location of where I'm investing. So unlike other channels who, you could ask simply, oh, what contractor do you use? They really can't give it to you because you probably wouldn't be able to use those contractors anyway. You don't even live in the same spot. But if you are in Baltimore and you are an investor in this area, you would be able to use the same contractors that I do. So it poses the question, can I use your contractor? So, hey, let's go ahead and talk about it. So as a new investor starting off, I was in exactly the same situation many of you are in. I mean, getting the house and the deal can be fine and all, and maybe even finding the money, but if you have no one reliable to do the work, then how reasonably are you ever going to get this done? If contractors are constantly trying to scam and screw you and you don't know the pricing of things, I mean, this task can be really difficult. Just like all of you, I normally would ask other investors who their contractors were, and I was a bit frustrated that many of them actually wouldn't give out either their best contractors or any contractors at all. And this seemed kind of a little bit selfish to me at the time, but unfortunately, over time, I've actually kind of learned the reason they don't give out their contractors. And you may have noticed this frustration yourself, where you constantly are asking around who are the good contractors. You may have even gone on, let's say, the Baltimore Investors Facebook group, which I highly recommend you join. And you may have just said, hey, need someone for this job. Hey, need someone for that job. You may see a lot of the same names, but even if you go around calling them, they're still not real references. Many of the time, a lot of times it's maybe just their friends or maybe the contractor themselves saying, hey, yes, I can do the job. So you still don't really know, is this contractor actually good? So what I want to do today is give you the resource that I always wish I had. I want to share with you many of the contractors that I use. Now, unfortunately, just like those investors whom I asked, I can't give you all my contractors, and I'm going to explain to you why on that. However, what I want you to do is comment in the comment section below and ask me, what do you need? Comment plumber if you need a plumber. Comment, granite countertops if you need that. Comment roofer if you need a roofer. What I can do is give you the person that I think at the time of recording this video, or at least maximum the time that I comment, that I think that person would be good for the job. It's very important because if you look at the comment section 2 years later and use that same person, they may not be as good anymore. And that gets us into our first point about why it is investors don't give up their contractor. So unfortunately, a realistic problem of dealing with people is people change. Their circumstances change over time, and contractors get worse and worse a lot. So this may be due to a variety of reasons. Maybe they, started another business and they're just no longer as, can do the job. Maybe they're not as available. Speaking of that availability, just imagine right now that I were to give you all a contractor that I use. I mean, even with the measly 800 subscribers that I have on this channel, even if like 100 of you decided to contact this one person, then you would quickly make them so busy that they're no longer as reliable as I'm saying in this video. So oftentimes giving a small contractor who has maybe only just himself, maybe his son, or maybe just 1 or 2 employees, you can quickly overwhelm them just by simply a bunch of you calling. Obviously, experienced investors suffer from the same problem where you'll have dozens of new investors asking them, hey, can I use your contractor? And they have to think in the back of their mind, if they give this person out to everyone, then that contractor may no longer be a good contractor anymore, as they're constantly overworking themselves. They're no longer getting to jobs on time. They're constantly saying, oh, tomorrow I'll work on your job. They're postponing. This is a constant issue. Contractors will often take on more work than they actually can handle, especially if they suddenly have an influx of new requests from a lot of new investors. However, regardless of all that, I still will at least give you the contractors that I think are reliable, regardless how big they are. I probably won't give out maybe my main 1 or 2 guys, but I can definitely give out people I've worked with whom I think are honest, trustworthy, and reliable. And I think that that is a benefit that most of you are just asking for. Sure, Don't give me your best contractor. Give me like some of your other guys. And I can absolutely do that. Like I said, comment in the section below and I will give you a contractor whom I think is very good for that job. Another problem with giving out contractors, especially in a video like this, is the problem is they may change their rates on you. Not because necessarily they see you as a newer investor and they want to screw you over, but you may not understand the specifics of what you're asking for. See, a lot of times I can, as I get more and more experience with this whole job and renovations, I know that something simple can actually be a very complex thing. Also, the smaller the job you ask them for, the more they have to charge you. The reason why is because when you tasked them with that smaller job, you took them away from a larger job with a larger payout. So that means they have to make it worth their time. Keep in mind, if what you're asking for is like as simple as going to set up blinds and that's all you're asking for, well, now you're telling them, hey, I'd like you to spend 20 minutes to run to Home Depot, or actually, I'm sorry, before you even do that, if you don't have the measurements for the blinds, you're now asking, hey, I want you to spend 20 minutes, go to my house, measure all the blinds for about 15 minutes, and then run to Home Depot for another 20 minutes, stand 20 minutes in line, come back for 20 minutes, and then spend another 20 minutes hanging up all your blinds. And then, because it's so easy, you're going to expect that you're just going to pay them $50 to do all of this. So you can imagine, just from their perspective, it's really not worth their time to even work with you on that job. You might even find that even if the job was slightly larger, that maybe it's tasked with a whole bunch of different trades. Maybe you're building a bathroom, let's say, and it involves a little bit of electrical work, a little bit of plumbing work, a little bit of tile work. And because you said to use materials that I personally wouldn't have used, you may not even realize why your costs are jumping up so much. Let's say you're asking them to tear apart tile and then just lay down carpet, and it's just a little tiny area. Well, suddenly your rates are going to go up, and you don't even realize why. Maybe I'm not ripping out tile, but you are, and you don't realize how difficult it is to actually rip out very well-placed tile. So, I mean, it's practically concrete. And so, essentially, you're going to probably run into that issue, so your rates are going to fluctuate, and you're going to wonder why that, I'm getting one rate and you're getting another. It's realistically because you don't either understand the trade or the job. Another problem with giving out contractors is if I were to give you a contractor right now, and keep in mind, this is the same with like any larger investor, and that contractor screws you over, you might have the tendency to blame me. You might feel anger toward me that I suggested this contractor to you, and now because he's screwing you over, but yet he's never screwed me over, suddenly you're like, okay, why would you give me this guy? So keep in mind the risk that these bigger investors and even myself take just by doing what I said in the comment section below about posting like a plumber and I'll give you a plumber. There's a big risk to that. You may work with them and they may totally treat you differently. This will be based on the interactions. Obviously, when you interact from one person to another person, you're pretty much going to have a different experience based on how well your two personalities mesh, how well you both understand each other, how relatable you both are, etc. And a final reason that I may not give out some of my contractors is many of the guys I use are unlicensed contractors. Now, this might be a huge shock. Don't you only want to use MHIC licensed contractors? And I admit, if they're new, I 100% would endorse that. I absolutely would suggest use an MHIC licensed contractor. That way, at least you're insured, and at least you can go after the contractor if you ask them to do this work and they completely do a terrible job. But an unlicensed contractor, you can't do that. You can't go after them. If they screw you over, it's your fault, and there's nothing you can do about it. And even worse, if you renovate a house using one of my unlicensed contractors, not even thinking about the ramifications of that. What if you're installing insulation or redoing the plumbing or modifying the structure of the house? Well, you need a permit for that. And so if you use one of my unlicensed contractors, then you probably are going to get yourself in a whole lot of trouble down the road. And so ultimately, it's the danger of giving an inexperienced investor contractors whom I use. Now, even if you are experienced, still having my unlicensed contractors being sent out might it kind of like have a bad vibe to that. I mean, a lot of people already feel a certain way toward unlicensed contractors. In fact, that they're doing the same work but not paying all the fees and the licensing fees and the associated costs of becoming a licensed contractor. So I can completely understand that. So I think out of even respect for them, those contractors out there who did actually take the time to get their MHIC license and do have to pay those overhead costs, I'd actually prefer not to give my unlicensed contractors a lot more business, and I'll just stick to giving you only licensed ones. So those are the reasons, the major reasons why a lot of investors won't give out their contractors. And of course, there might be a lot of personal ones that don't apply to me but may apply to them. Perhaps maybe they see you as just mooching off of all their hard work of finding and working with multiple different contractors, and then all you want to do is just simply ask for handouts. They may see it that way. You're not seeing it that way, and I certainly didn't, but they might see it that way, and that might be a reason they might be a little frustrated with giving you all their best guys, instead just handing you out someone they might have worked with only once or twice. So with that all being said, there is a video that I did put out about how I found contractors. I recommend you go look at that video. I'll go ahead and put the link in the description below. I actually work with a lot of different contractors, mostly because I manage properties, multiple different properties, and this allows me to juggle the contractors around and experience exactly how they operate and flow without me using them myself. Also, another way you can do this is to partner yourself with other investors, hand out those contractors, and have your partners, whom also have houses, and when I say partners, this might be just simply a friend with a house or real estate or some properties of their own. Essentially, you can have them use that contractor and see what their experience was like. And, of course, admitting to your friend, hey, I only use this person once or twice, you should try them out. They worked great for me. So with that all in mind, I hope you subscribe to the channel and like my video. I absolutely want to put out more videos like this that might try to help you understand the complications of it, oh my God, I just wanted some contractors' names and it's so difficult to find them. And I mean, honestly, you're not alone. A lot of experienced investors have the exact same problem. I know me personally, contractors that literally a year ago were great, now suddenly have disappeared or they're terrible now. So this is definitely a reality of the business. You're just gonna keep cycling through contractors. If you think that you're gonna have one contractor and you're just gonna ride that person's wave and for the rest of your investing journey, it's not gonna happen. You're gonna constantly be negotiating through new and new contractors. Plus, as you keep stacking your leverage and buying more properties, eventually your contractors are going to not be able to work on all the properties that you even have. So these are all just things to keep in mind. So anyway, hope you all join me in another video, and I'll talk to you all very soon.